Hi, so this is a tutorial for Google Drive. So the first thing we're going to need to do if we're going to go to Google Drive is we need to get logged into Google. If you're on a Chromebook, you are already logged into Google because up here in the top right it'll have your name. If you're on a Windows device or on your phone or another device like that, we're going to need to sign in. So we're going to click the sign in button right here to sign into Chrome. I'm going to put in a testing account here, a tester at garfield16.org, and password here. Hey, now I'm logged into Google Chrome. In the top right, you'll see a grid of 9 boxes. It's the Google App Launcher. If you click on it once, it'll open up all of the different Google apps. Here today, we're talking about Google Drive. It's this triangle one. We're going to click on that, and it'll take us to Google Drive. Great, so here we are in Google Drive. We're going to take a look at this first learning target. I can open new documents, sheets, forms, etc. So Google Drive is where everything is housed for your Google documents. There's no longer storing these on a C drive or on parts of your computer. Everything is stored in the cloud here in Google Drive. So even if you log into Google Drive in Bermuda, you are still able to access all of these folders. So how do we create a new document? So up here in the top left, there's a new button. Click on it once, and here we get the option to create folders, upload folders, and then also to create a new document, sheet, slide, form, drawing, my map, or Google Site. Here we're going to just play today and click on Google Doc. Let me go back to here while that's loading. If I go to New, hover over Google Docs, and hover over this arrow, I do get the option that I can start a blank document or open one from a template. So if you're trying to create a resume or something like that, there might be a template for a resume down there in there. Okay, so let me go back to this document. In the top left, I'm going to title it Practice with Google Drive. I'm just going to type in some bogus words here. Okay, I'm not going to go over how to use Google Docs right now. That's in a further video. But if I go back to my drive, we see here that document that we just created, Practice with Google Drive, is now in my drive. Okay, so that's how we open up documents using this new button right here to open new types of documents. Okay, now that we're creating different documents, we're going to want to store these and organize them really well. So we're going to look at that second learning target. I can use folders to set up a file storage system. So up here in the top left is that new button. I'm going to click new, and I'm going to create a new folder. Okay, I might call this one 2017. Okay, and I'm just going to create a couple of different folders. As you see, I have a couple folders already. I'm just going to add a couple more though. Let's go new, add one more folder. We'll maybe call this one 2018. Okay, so as you see, just by pressing that new button with the folder, I'm able to create different folders to organize my content. And now if I take a document or something else here in my drive, I can drag it just by clicking on it, drag it up into whatever folder I want to drop it into. I'm going to drop this one into 2017. Okay, we'll open up 2017 and here is our document. Okay, so we're starting to organize ourselves a little better, creating our own little file storage system. One other thing I'll show you really quick here is how to change some of those colors. If you right click on that folder, you get the option to change color. So if you're more of a color or visual person, this might be helpful to you to separate your folders from each other. Okay, if you want to rename it, right click, you can also rename that folder here. So when you get into Google Drive, you'll see that there's 2 different file storage systems or pathways. One's called My Drive and the other one's called Team Drive. My Drive is where you can store all of your documents, and Team Drives is a great way to collaborate with colleagues and store common documents, ones that you both would like to access or all of you would like to access. So the main difference between My Drive and Team Drives is where we set the access level for permissions. In My Drive, we're setting those pretty much at the folder level or at each individual document level. So I can click on a document here. I can add people up here to share and collaborate on each individual document. Likewise, if I'm just in my drive here, I can click on a folder and I can also invite people to collaborate in that folder as well. The other option here in team drives is that we're setting the permission level for the entire team on an individual basis. So I've started a team drive here. If you want to start a new team drive yourself, you're going to click on team drives, click on new, and it'll tell you here to name your new team drive. But I got one already here. I'm going to open it up. And so every document that I add into here is accessible by all of my members. And so up at the top left here, I have 3 members. I can manage those members here. I have my testing account as Annie Tester. She has full access and she can manage members, upload and delete files. So this is the main advantage of the team drives, is that only one person, if only one person has full access, only that person is able to delete any files, and they are the only people that can add members as well. I gave Mr. Humphrey here edit access. He can look at all of the files. He can change content in there as well. He just can't delete any files from the team drive. And here Mr. Carpenter would have comment access, meaning that he can see all the files. He can't type into them, he can't edit them, but he would be able to leave us a little comment and let us know how we're doing on some of those documents. So again, the big difference here between my drive and team drives is that team drives, we manage the access level of each individual team member. In my drive, we are giving individual access to folders or individual documents. So there's a bit of an advantage here for using team drives, especially when you're collaborating with colleagues. Okay, so let's talk about sharing documents here from our drive. So I'm going to click on one of my folders here. Let's say I want to share this folder with someone. If I click on it, up at the top right here, I get a hidden menu. All of these, some of these buttons show up. If I don't click on it, those buttons go away. So they only show up if you click on an item. So I click on an item and we get a couple different options. The first one is to get a shareable link. I could click on that once, turn link sharing on, and I could copy this link right here and maybe put it in an email to someone and they could access this document or this folder. The other option here, if I click on an item, is to add a person. So I can share me as a mathematician, share this little folder, click on it once, it opens up the little share picker, and I have a few different options here. I'm going to put in someone's name, so I'll put in their email. So this will be, I'll do N Humphrey. Okay, and they'll show up right here. I'll choose him. I can add him a little note. Hello, this is just a practice. And right now I'm giving Mr. Humphrey edit access. We just talked about the difference here between how we're sharing those different, how we're sharing these documents in team drives or in my drive. Here in my drive, I'm going to give him either edit access that he can organize, add, and edit to this folder, or he can only view documents in there. Okay, in this case, maybe I wanted to give him just view access. Up at the top here now, that link, if I share that link, because we turned link sharing on just a second ago, if I click on this button right here, I can see a couple different options. Right now it's set that if anyone gets this link, anyone at Garfield 16 School District can view it. So parents would be able to potentially, I'm sorry, students and other teachers would be able to see it. This wouldn't be accessible to parents because parents are not part of the Garfield 16 domain. If I click on more here, I can change some of those options. Of course, I can make it public on the web, make it so that if I share this link with anyone, they can get it. So that's a good one to share if you're trying to get documents or folders shared with parents. Here it's just people in Garfield 16. In here a little bit more specific. The difference between these two, in Garfield 16, people will be able to search Google Drive for that document. Here, anyone in Garfield 16 with the link, people would need that link. So you need to send them an email or provide them with that link in some other fashion. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it maybe on shared or off. I'm only gonna share it with specific people. Press save. And the specific people I'm sharing with in this case, here I've added Mr. Nathan Humphrey. Go ahead and press send here. And I have shared that now with somebody else straight from my drive. I can do the same thing with a document. If I open up one of my folders here, I can click on a document, and again, I get those same options. I can share the link, or I can add a collaborator by pressing this plus person button. There's a couple basic settings in Google Drive that'll make your viewing experience a little bit more pleasant. So if you look in the top right here, there is a button that says List View. If you click on that once, you see that the way that the documents in your folders are organized is a little bit more perhaps traditional. If you click on the grid view here, it lays it out as you see a little differently. Let me go and open one of these that has a couple documents in here. Again, if I click on list view, you see it organizes them kind of in this vertical fashion. Grid view organizes them, and I can see the documents a little bit more. The other option up here is the info button. If you click on it once or view details, it'll show you several details about this, when that document was last opened, who last edited, etc. And if you go to details, you can see some more specifics, who owns it, and so forth. The other one is the little cog here. You'll see this cog around Google a lot. It's the settings button. If you click on it once, we're going to go to settings. I'm just going to show you a couple simple ones you might want to toggle. The first one here is offline mode. If you click on this one, all of these Google Docs, we'll have to add the extension here. All of these docs, sheets, and slides will be synced offline, so that if you're working on a beach in Bermuda for some reason, you can still access those documents, work on them offline, and when you get an internet connection, those documents will automatically update with the cloud. So right now it's saying enabling offline mode, please wait. I'm gonna just move on here though. You might have to give it just a few seconds or a few minutes to enable though. On the left side here, another option you might want to choose is notifications, and maybe toggle a couple of these. So you might want to receive some email updates every time somebody edits a document, or someone maybe shares a document with you from your drive. That's a good one to keep on. You might want to also toggle browser notifications, such that in the bottom right corner you would get a little button saying, hey, somebody shared a document with you, something like that. For some reason on my computer it's not letting me toggle that, but another setting you could use. Okay, so we looked at how to share a document or a folder with somebody else. We'll click on it once here in our drive and click on this plus person button, or use a shareable link. But when somebody shares a link with us, it's not automatically going to show up in our drive. Now, if they are in our team drive and they share a document with us and the document's in the team drive, it will automatically show up in our team drive. However, if they just share a document normally through their My Drive with us, it won't show up in our My Drive. It'll show up on the left side here in this option called Shared with Me. If I click on it once, I see all of the different documents that have been shared with me. They're sorted by date right now. I can change that right here, or I can change how I wanted to sort these, maybe by name, last modified, etc. These documents exist in the other user's My Drive, and it's in my Shared with Me folder. If I want to add it to my drive and I want to store it maybe in a certain location, I can right click on one of these documents and I can choose this option to add to my drive. That's going to be a lot nicer for you if you wanted to organize it yourself, put it into a folder, and have a place to easily find it in your own My Drive. Otherwise, it will exist here always in this Shared with Me folder as well. But there are some reasons why you might want to add it to your drive so that you can organize it yourself in your drive. Okay, so whether or not that document's been shared with you, if it's in your drive or if it's in your team drives, there's often going to be the case where you can't find a document, where you just maybe didn't organize it properly. But Google Drive really has a way to help you out with that. So there's a few different ways to search for items. So of course we can go into My Drive, Team Drives, go into Shared with Me. Another really helpful option is Recent. And so this will choose some documents that you've accessed recently. Of course, it shows it here by date. Okay, so I accessed this one today, these ones earlier this week, these ones earlier this month. And so it gives you that quick access to some documents maybe that you've been working on lately. There's also this ability to search your drive in the top here. There's a search bar. If you start typing in the name of a document, maybe I'm going to start typing in science here. Press enter. It's going to show up anything that is related to science. Now, this account, AniTester account, doesn't have a lot of documents, so we don't have a lot to be searching through here. I'm going to just go back to my drive here. I'm going to go to the search bar again. I'm going to search for, let's say just math. And I'm going to click on this down arrow on the right side because I get a few other options. I can search by the type of document. So perhaps I know that this was a Google form. So I want to search just Google Forms. Perhaps I know that this was owned by a specific person. I know that Mr. Carpenter is the one that made this form. So I'm going to search for him for that form. And so over time, Mr. Carpenter may have made hundreds of forms, but it's going to narrow it down for us. It's just going to show ones that are owned by Mr. Carpenter, that are forms, that have the something to do with math, have the name math somewhere in the document. I can look here again, toggle a couple more options, look at when it was last modified. I could look by the specific name. So if I know the name of the document, of course, I could just type it in there. But if I'm just kind of looking for general keywords, math, maybe it was an algebra assignment. Okay, I can add a couple keywords here. And who did he share it with? I could all sorts of different options to search our drive really easily. Press that search button, and it's going to narrow down those results for you. Here, I don't have anything that specific in this drive, but this search option up here is a great way to find documents that you may be missing. So I'm going to go back to my drive here. Another option that might be helpful to you is starring some documents for easy access. So I'm going to open up a folder here. I'm going to right click on a document. And when I right click on the document, one of the options is to add a star. So I'm going to add a star there. I'm going to go back to my drive. I'm going to open up another folder. Oops, excuse me, that was the same one. Let me see, I think I got a couple in here. I'm going to open this one up to show you another way we can star these documents. Once the document is open, there's an option right here next to the title. There's a little star. If you click on it once, again, we're starring these documents for easy access later on. So if I go back to my drive, I see here there's an option for starred. If I click on it once, I see that these are documents that have been starred. So maybe this is an easy way for you to access documents that you use quite often. Maybe you use them on a weekly basis or daily basis. You might want to star some of those for quick access right there. Just a couple more buttons here to show you in Google Drive. One of the other options here is Google Photos. If I click on it once, I don't have any photos in my Google Photos account, but Google Photos is a photo storage system that Google uses. It's an external service, but it does allow you to see some of those photos here in your drive from Google Photos. The other button down here is the trash button. If you delete an item, so here's an item that was deleted recently, that item actually stays in your trash for about 30 days. It does not get automatically deleted. It doesn't just disappear. It's really quite difficult to actually delete an item. If you delete an item, it goes into your trash here for about 30 days. If after those 30 days, you still need that item, if you contact the IT department, we can still access that item for you in Google's what they call the Google Vault. So it is really difficult to delete an item. It's this idea of the no approaches excuse to education. Students can't really delete items or delete documents and lose them. The dog really can't eat the homework anymore. The Google Drive and some of this cloud storage has really solved some of those issues for us.